today with Locolobo, otherwise known as Micah. And pleasure to have you here, sir. And would you mind tell us a little bit about kind of your journey of Star Wars and kind of what led you to here?
I started um, very early, and my cousin had bought um, me a box of the New Hope and gave me a whole bunch of Hoth and Premier commons and uncommons.
Nice,
And of course, free cards, I'm in.
nice, nice. That was cool. Okay, and so how long did you stay to say kind of around Hoth you joined ish? So how long did you kind of stick with it?
I stuck with it until early 2000 when the very first virtual set came out. Me and my friends were like, print and play is just not what we wanted to do. And we'd heard rumors about the new TCG coming out. So we just kind of gave up on the CCG and went to Wizards for a while.
Okay, so I heard some negative feedback from Dr. Torch. Like I guess he saw a preview of it. You played it for a while. I'm guessing you quit that too eventually, or what was your experience with that?
Dice into card game are not my thing.
Okay.
Had the same problem with Destiny. Just too much randomness and not enough actual strategy.
Okay.
But I was trying every single Star Wars game after that, and just nothing compared to the CCG strategy wise.
Okay. And what you did like the short-lived Jedi Knights 2 as well from Decipher, or you never played that one?
That I played once and said no. Same
Okay.
thing with Young Jedi, um, the LCG from Fantasy Flight. Um, I did like the miniatures game from Wizards. That was a good rendition of Star Wars, but yeah, none of the others compared.
I got you. I've had a similar experience. Yeah, I started I think a little bit before Indoor, and I got a bunch of free cards from some of my friends. I was playing Magic at the time, and I really like Star Wars. I guess to me it was just a deeper game, even as a young kid, even with my janky strategies back then. And no, I agree with you. I tried getting to Magic again recently, and just for me it was Star Wars. It's the CCG is classic for me. So I'm guessing you got into GIMP somewhat recently, and then you found Scavenger. Help me understand that bit.
Right after the pandemic started,
Okay.
I started getting into, well, that was about the time that Destiny fell off the radar. So I found GIMP just doing a search for trying to sell my old Star Wars cards,
Okay.
and just stumbled across that was the first thing that popped up on Google was play for free, and I was like, okay, I'll try it, and I got right into the seal tournaments.
Nice.
The At that time it was episode one sealed. They did the enhanced premiere, Cloud City, Jabba's Palace. They hadn't started the Jedi ones yet, but I got into every single one of the sealeds, and I didn't know about Scavenger until I played against MGB in one of the Jedi sealed,
Okay.
and I played um, Trento Duobo,
Okay.
and he commented, "No one ever plays that card,"
True.
and just I was like, "I like playing quirky things." And then
Right.
he's like, "Well, you'll really enjoy Scavenger. That's all we play." And so I watched Tim and Hustler 2 play a few games, and I got hooked.
Nice. Nice. Well, no, I agree with you. And I one thing I like about Scavenger is yes, there's a different variety of decks, a different kind of meta, and with that, I think we should get to it. So let me share my screen here, and it's going to take a while, and then we will get into it. All right. All right. So you should be able to see what I see now. And all right. So now we are kind of your first deck. So you said Trento, just for reference, not in your deck. Tri? How do you spell it? Trinto?
Yeah, Trinto.
Yeah, this
There it
guy.
is.
I did make one deck with this guy. If you can get your opponent to draw a lot of destiny on your turn, like if you have a Sabak deck, you can potentially kind of use him. He's hard to make useful, but I respect that you try. But anyway, not part of your deck. This is your deck. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, all right. So you are trying to use combat readiness, and I'm assuming you're starting Jawa Canyon and then Java's Palace, and then you're pulling your other two
Hmm.
sites. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And all right, so you have some Jawas like MGB, and so you start Jawa Canyon. So that makes sense. You'll be able to do that. So why kind of the Jawas and the kind of the swoop bikes and whatnot? Help me kind of understand kind of your strategy they're going for this one.
Well, the Avison ornament allows me to retrieve force later on in the game,
Right.
but the real um, kicker for me was trying to find something that the others hadn't seen in this format before.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with the Quarren and the Royal Guards
All right.
because normally Royal Guards can't be played
Yeah, and I want to ask you, how in the world do you play these? Oh, because the Quarren lets you
with the
play them.
Quarren.
Oh, but you only have one. You have one Quarren for two
Yeah,
Royal Guards. Okay.
that's that. The Avison ornament allows me to pull the Quarren in,
Okay.
and a lot of people like that Monarch and Grimtosh.
Right.
So
True.
I want to keep as low copies as I can. And at the time of making this, I had forgotten about cards like Well Guarded that protect against those.
Um, true. True. But I mean, if you don't have lots of copies, you're kind of naturally protecting yourself too. So that's another way of going about it too. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in the very first time I played this, I think it was against MGB. It was against his Cloud City deck, and I
Hmm.
dropped the Royal Guards on his Elam and Cloud City Engineers. And he still beat me out of that game, but I did surprise him.
No, I love that, and yeah, I mean they're one of the few cards that can add a Battle Destiny. Actually, I don't know what else can add a Battle Destiny in Scavenger. Is there anything else that can do that? I mean, of course, this is a
Not
defensive
that
deck.
I'm aware of, no.
No, I don't think so. Not super easy to pull off. So no, I like that from that aspect. Yeah, they're two deploy, three power. If you can get them in the Scavenger environment, not bad. Elams of course could get up to four, but these are still ability too. So yeah, I like that. Destiny wise, not cool, not bad. All right, so four Jawas, four Rontos. Jawas actually, what am I talking about? Yeah, Jawas and a Ronto. They can draw Battle Destiny. Two swoop. Two of the swoop guys. All right, two of them. Draw one out otherwise. So are you like holding your hand of your swoop mercenaries and then making sure you have two of them, or how are you generally going like playing this deck? Are you deploying as fast as you can? Are you holding back? Help others understand kind of your methodology for this one.
All right, well, with the what I first do is I bring out the audience chamber
Right.
and I start with Akrev and start pulling the musicians out.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I'm hoping that they're not doing any space because I'm very weak in space. But I do have the Imperial Helmsman with the Star Destroyers where they can draw Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise.
Right. Right.
Um, that's my only space protection. But I've also got the Jawa Canyon for the Rock Warts um, because the Rock Warts are more powerful there.
True.
And
So yeah, so the Rockport's ferocity two, and because it's a creature, you can choose who it attacks. So, I mean, are you just hoping that like they put like two guys there, and maybe if you kill off one of them, then they won't be able to drop Battle Destiny, and then they'll have to run away from the canyon there, or how do you choose when to deploy your creatures?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of times I'm just trying for the surprise factor. And if they've already got a whole bunch of people there, I don't even bother using the rock warts. I try to go with the marksmen and the disruptor pistols, and that way during the control phase, I can ace them. Hopefully, because they can use the disruptor pistols for free during the control phase.
Yeah, may fire one weapon at use of double the force. Okay. But because the disruptor pistol, okay, use two force for free on your non-unique warrior. Okay, so he is a non-unique warrior. He could do it. He could do it for free. I guess strictly speaking, okay, yeah, actually you could use it on any of them. So you could use it in your royal guards too. Your swoop mercenaries aren't warriors. I guess you don't have a whole lot of other warrior. Okay, I guess some of these musicians have to be warriors. So okay, but yeah, best of them because you could ace them. So you're just hoping if you deploy weak wing marksman and a disruptor pistol that they're not going to attack you because I don't see a barrier here, right? So you don't have the ability to, stop them from moving against you. Is there a reason you didn't want to go with like an imperial barrier, like barrier them and then kind of like try to weak wing marks them, ace them, or whatever? Are you there? Hello? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, my question was: is there a reason you didn't go for barrier, maybe barrier, and then try to, shoot off with your marksman, or is it just you needed more characters, character focused, or how do I understand?
With that being my first one, I wasn't really thinking about much of anything.
Okay.
I just ran with. By the time I had the musicians and the Jawas and the swoops and the royal guards, I think the original thought was for four royal guards and two quorums, and
Okay.
that probably would have been better. Um, Not only for the destinies, but uh, more of the chance of pulling them. But that was just I wanted to go with a low interrupt, and I've never cared for effects. In
Okay.
fact, my cousin and I came up with an entire thing where you played a game without interrupts or effects, and it was just um, cards with ability. And
I
so,
No, continue. Sorry, continue.
uh, so that was probably what I was thinking on this one.
Okay. I know in the PDS2 format, Dark Deal 44 likes to play his Prophet decks. There have been a couple of times where some alien decks or other alien like no interrupt decks, because he's used to using Sense and Alter. Now that isn't used much here in Scavenger, but no, I do understand the appeal of a kind of a no interrupt or very low interrupt, low effect deck. So no, I do understand that. You do have a lot of characters here. It is nice to see the Imperial Helmsman. It just sounds like I guess this is a deck you made a while ago. You haven't tried to update it a ton. I do like seeing like the low bell Ponda Baba. He tries to use this, two from four for each opponent's pilot, same site. And for Scavenger, I imagine that would really stack up. And I think he actually would do really well paired with your musicians, I would think. Um,
Mm.
Now, it you're missing like the one musician. I guess he's a rare. He's not in Scavenger that kind of adds to strength. But you have a bunch of them, and they can add to a big stack. And so you add Lobel. I guess if you get a decent battle destiny, you could kind of make it more painful. I don't know exactly though who are the pilots you would see in Scavenger generally speaking. Like there's a freighter captains, I guess. Maybe that.
Boshek.
Boshek. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So Boshek. Yeah, Boshek would
Yeah.
be. Yeah, he'd be a one forfeit. That'd be very sad. Okay, true.
he and the freighter captains were my main concern, especially Boshek because he's a 4 ability. A lot could just drop him on and be safe. But
Right. And I was looking a while earlier. There was one musician that you could have done that you didn't. So you didn't go for Rappertuni. Is there a reason you omitted this one out of all the musicians you could have done?
no, actually, I didn't think about that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, because I love his ability to kind of reduce their power. Like it's just insult to injury. Because it just when you stack them up, their abilities are just so mean. So you went to Cloud City with this one. You say you lost it. Did you only play this deck once, or do you have any other experience playing this deck, or able to kind of go
I
over
just
them?
played that one a couple times.
Okay.
Um, with the scavenger format, I like playing a new deck every time.
Okay.
And so I haven't been playing much recently except for the tournament that they just had, which was really enjoyable. But yeah, it strains the brain trying to come up with something original every time. And how Hustler 2 and the others come up with so many ideas is beyond me. Congrats to them.
Nice.
They deserve all of the credit for those. They're fascinating decks.
I agree. Okay. So yeah, you're going for originality here. I mean, I would imagine that you try to do Akrev, you might try to put Griata there at the audience chamber too, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe kind of station here. Although you're not really getting many force strain bonuses here, so
No.
you don't really have none of your sites really give you force strain bonuses. So other than you get a free deploy here, I'm not seeing much that kind of ties you here. It seems like you comfortable kind of going anywhere on the ground. It seems like to me.
Yeah, because only the Jawas are stuck to Tatooine. But Akrev brings out Griata, and then the next turn, Griata brings out Dodo, and Akrev brings out another musician because
Correct.
she can pull any Rhodian.
Right. Yeah. So she could get Dodo, and then you could get two more, so you could get up to your limit. And I mean, is your goal just to kind of like have a bunch of people at the audience chamber and then just hold them up there, um, or does that like tend not to work? I mean, because you talk about like the Cloud City decks, like Cloud City would have several like two drains, um, for the light side. So it seems like from a drain race perspective, like they get +1 here. I guess there's no Lando to do it. They could, go here for kind of a two drain. Um, it seems like I guess you could hold back your musicians as a surprise if you wanted to, but it seems like generally speaking, you just you draw and you're just ready to battle. Is that how you're playing it, or how would you normally like to play it in your mind?
Yeah, just usually wait to see where they're going to deploy and then just pile up on them
Okay.
and try to win within like one or two strong battles.
Okay. And then what? You're trying to. So does that mean you're kind of like holding a lot of your characters in your hand? So like assuming they're deploying to Tatooine, you'll be trying to like what use your creatures to attack selectively, and then when you think they're weak, you'll just kind of like mass deploy and kind of an attack, or kind of like walk me through kind of how you think you would normally want to go about this, because you mentioned audience chamber. It seems like you're trying to do audience chamber with aliens, and then you hold your hand for the rest of your characters and whatnot.
Yeah, and just see how they play and what where they play at
Well, where they
determines a lot.
yeah, where do they typically play? I mean, it seems like you have Tatooine, you have Cloud City, you have Endor, Hoth. I don't know if you guys really fight at Hoth very much. I don't know, man. Like, where are they going? is there something else you guys are typically going, or space? I guess you can't
No,
really go on space.
usually I've seen Cloud City and Indoor most common.
Okay. All right. And so, I mean, your creatures could deploy there. It says any planet sites except Hoth. So that's good there. Yeah. So pretty much just the Jawas, like you mentioned earlier. Um, I mean, and you have mostly aliens here. You didn't have very many Imperials. Is there a reason why you stuck to aliens mostly for this deck?
No, just because they were the musicians, and I really wanted to keep the marksmen. The marksmen are stuck to Tatooine too. I forgot about them.
Oh yeah, you're right. Deploy on Tatooine. Yeah, that's kind of a
I
disadvantage.
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
But yeah, they're there for basically just the disruptor pistols, and during the control phase, trying to get rid of their characters early.
All right.
But
And I'm kind of curious too. So, like, is there like I've seen like you using combat readiness. I guess it's because you really want the Jawa cannon for your Jawas, and you really want the audience chamber for your musicians, being able to kind of deploy there. And if you did like a docking bay deck with a rest order, you wouldn't really be able to get off all your cards the nicest way that you would like to. So I guess that makes sense. But there's more like Jabba's Palace sites though. There's a couple of other ones, right? So like you have the Droid Workshop, but there's also the dungeon. There's also the entrance cavern. There's also the Rancor pit. Obviously, these are not a great force generator for you, but it's something. Is a reason why you just stopped at one? Why you didn't do more of these, or help me understand that one?
the only reason for that is I didn't want to spread because most of my characters are ability ones, and they don't do well just spread out, in 6 or 7 locations. Um, and there's no benefit for me to have those for force drain because I can't force drain there. And then they're just zeros in my deck. Although I could pull them out with the palace, I just I just didn't put them in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious as far as
But
like tempo and momentum because you would start with 3 force and then 3 force, plus 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get 7 force a turn. I don't know how many force the average player does against you. You have several of these cards. Okay, some of them cost 0, some are 3s, some are 1s. I'm just curious about like tempo. Would these help? Now, normally we like to do Twixes. We like to do sites that give you 2 force for you. There's not a lot of those available. I'm just curious. Do you guys have like the cave? No, you don't have Dagobah Cave.
no, the
Yeah,
cave is rare.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, yeah. So you don't really have a. Are there any Twixes at all? Coruscant, is that a Twix or no?
I
No.
think the Hoth one. No, that's not a Twix. No, because the Wampa Cave is rare.
Okay, you just have okay ice planes. You could potentially do ice planes if you wanted to. That's
Oh.
about it. Looks like okay. Yeah, you don't have a lot of options for Twixes. You have like one. So yeah, no, I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you're right. It's 3 dead cards. You could pull them. I just be curious. 4 strain management. Did you feel like you had enough with your current sites, or do you felt you were?
One of the reasons why the main reason combat readiness is in there actually is for the use part, where during a battle you activate force off your destiny,
Yeah.
and the destinies aren't that bad. And this the only reason I have Felterburn Trevag is because he's a 4, but he also adds to the cost to initiate a battle at his
Correct.
location.
Correct.
But
He seems to be better to be a defensive card rather than offensive, maybe, or semi-defensive, I guess. Depending. I've never really seen people use him defensively, I'll admit. So, I've seen people use him as a bounty hunter. He can use a weapon, but yeah, there's no battle order in this deck, right? No battle, right? So no battle order, battle plan. You could have used this one. I guess you didn't want to because you don't have much space presence here, so that makes sense.
right, right. I don't want to draw them in space if I don't have to.
Right. And if
But
we, yeah, so as far as ships, you ended up going for two ships. I mean, trying to see like your options here. Well, you have a couple options. None of these, I'm not really seeing. Yeah, none of these ships have any immunity to attrition. None of them. Not a single.
mm,
Yeah, maybe they have the matching pilot. So yeah, you're. I kind of get that one too. Okay. All right. So, any other points of interest? I mean, you have several cards here. Like you have Evazon's, sawed-off blaster. You could have done, four disruptor pistols. There's a reason why you did, this card instead. I mean,
just
just
because it fires repeatedly, and with this format, light side tends to run a lot of low ability characters as well. So if you're facing Eloms or especially like Ewoks or Jawas that have the one ability, you can empty an entire site.
yeah, I guess so. I guess the only thing I don't like,
Yeah.
of course, is that you hit them, they can still forfeit. So to make this useful, you need to like hit a bunch of guys, and so you need to deploy this. I assume you want to deploy this and fight the same turn. So you need three to deploy it, two to shoot it, and then two to shoot it again. So you need at least three plus two plus two. You need at least seven force to deploy, not including the character. So it seems this would be hard to actually make work effectively. Like you really love to shoot it three times to really make it, effective.
Yeah.
It seems like this is the only thing I would say here. Versus this thing, you shoot them and they're dead, like super dead, like the Lost Dead. Um, Granted, yeah, I guess this would hit most of them, unless they're Elams with the Stormtrooper stuff. Seems like it hit most things, except maybe Boshek, I guess. So
But in a lot of my decks, my strategy is it's always going to work out in my favor anyway, and obviously it doesn't. But
okay, all right, cool. Anything else people should know about your deck before we move on to your light side?
no,
Okay, all right. So So I think I saw you fighting a little bit with this one, and what I really like is the fact that you used an Ewok catapult straight. Like it wasn't just a gimmick seven card, although it is a seven. That is nice. You actually intended to use it. You're actually able to use it against an ATST. I really thought that was cool. Maybe talk about your deck so people can understand it better.
okay. Um, well, I have the catapult and the spears in there for two reasons. Like you said, to actually use them, but also the uh, droid in the top left. I forget what he's called. ASP 7, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. He allows you to put during your control phase one weapon on top of your reserve deck. So you can put that 7 or that 4 on top, go into a battle knowing that you're going to draw that either for weapon destiny or battle destiny. But it just so happened that, like you said, he was playing with ATSTs, and that actually turned into a more effective weapon. And when I used the droid to put it in my reserve deck, I actually hurt myself because he had more ATSTs out there.
Yeah.
But, it was a really fun matchup. I've got this civil disorder, hoping that they don't have as many characters or starships out there. This one, like the other deck, was missing Den of Thieves.
Uh-huh. Yeah, true. You could have had that one potentially. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Whereas this one has the bargaining table and is very helpful. Um, what else with this one?
You had an interesting combo with Wyoslia. Like I didn't realize, but you can like I was always concentrating on like unoccupied transport vehicle, but it says or droid. Well, you do have two of these droids, and it seems like you have like a mini combo here where you have Wyoslia there, you have ASP, you use Spaceport speeders there. You can sell this droid, and then Wyoslia can steal back the droid. right? You sell it to them and you steal it back from them. Is that right?
Well, no, with the spaceport speeders, that part, you put the droid in your lost pile, draw 2 destiny, and activate that mini force.
Okay. All right. Not quite as good. Okay. Yeah, you have to lose it. It doesn't go. So if they happen to have another droid, you could potentially steal it. But I see what you're saying. So, all right. So you're trying to draw 3 destiny. So potentially, after you put your droid here and you kind of stack your destiny catapults, you can then sell your droid and you can activate a ton of force because, well, you know what you're about to draw here, kind of thing. And so you have a ton of force, and then your goal there
Mm-hmm.
is just like to deploy a ton, kind of thing, or draw a ton or
Yeah,
whatever.
and I want to start with the bunker, the forest, and the jungle.
Yep, I like that.
And the bunker, of course, I'm giving them 2 force, which isn't ideal, but it also gives me a target for fallen portal and a 2 force
Oh,
train.
you know what? It's so rare in PDS2 we see this used at the back door, but you're right. It explicitly allows the back door. Wow, ouch. So the one place that it's easier for them to take is they take the jungle, then it's -1 forest drain. They take the forest, but you're immune to attrition, they're not. So they naturally want to take this one, and then you just fall in portal. Nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. That's great. 2 scrambles, too. 2 scrambles. So I'm sure they have a lot of pilots, generally
Mm-hmm.
speaking there. Biker scouts or whatever. Anything that's not inside of ATST. 2 projection of Skywalkers, very bad. So if they have their own, sites, then if for some reason they got one of your sites here too, you could make it punish them. So it seems like a really mean deck. How did it end up going? How did it end up playing out? You played only one match with this, or how did it go?
I lost by like 2 or 3 force. It
Mhm.
was incredibly close.
I got you. Yeah. And so you kind of had a collection of Ewoks here, and I guess the Ewoks are just more just to use Ewok spears and the Ewok catapults. Yeah, your Ewok present may do it. So you have the ability to use these straight, not just put in the piles there. Um, I've seen some people like use decks where they have lots of Ewok sentries. He says may deploy as a react, may move as a react for free to better have a unique Ewok. Is the reason you didn't kind of go more Ewok sentries? And I think there's that one card. I forgot the name. Ithorian, right? That adds icons. That's like a classic one that people tend to use. There's a reason why you
That
didn't
one
put
I
that.
always forget about.
Okay.
That would be perfect in this deck.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
uh, but it goes back to fear of that Monarch and Grimtash. Just trying to have as few copies as I can of any one card.
I get it. You did 3 Wookiees though. Instead of like 3 Jawas. Why'd you go for 3 Wookiees?
Their power, and they're the ones that I want to have the disruptor pistols because they're non-unique. I mean, yeah, non-uniques.
Non-unique warrior. Okay.
So I
Um,
take the chance of those and the fallen portals, but everything else, well, some of the weapons
I
I have
see.
more
Yeah,
of
you're
it.
right. None of these Ewoks, they have Ewok weapons, but they're not technically warriors. And none of your pilots, except, okay, all right, Hobby's a pilot. So disruptor pistols are just so good, you needed someone to be able to use it. Is basically what it is. 3 Wookiees, 3 disruptor pistols. Am I right?
Yeah, and they're +1 in the forest and jungle.
True. True. Not backdoor, but yes, your other main sites here. You got hidden forest trail. Does that count as a forest? I'd be curious there. I hope so. I don't actually know.
I think it does, but
Yeah.
I like them at the. Which one is it that makes them immune to attrition? The forest, or
Yep.
is that the
Correct.
yeah forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put them there and just let them stay there.
Makes
And
sense.
Hobby's mostly in there just for his ship because it makes it for one force. The X-wing laser cannons are an automatic 3
Yeah.
plus 3. Uh,
Hobby,
well, it may use 2 force to make it plus 3 or equal 3. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, he is one of the cheapest X-wing pilots. Like without like a rendezvous point, whatever. So is rendezvous point, is that even legal in this thing? No, rendezvous point is not legal. So, but yeah, he's extremely cheap because he deploys free to his own ship. I don't like that he doesn't draw on his own, but I guess he makes up for that with cheapness. So you really need to have two ships and two pilots unless you are doing Jack, but you don't have a Jack here. There's no Jack here. So you have Nathan, you have red 8, you do have a red 9. That's good. And so yeah, it seems like your strategy here was just to do Santage and trying to kind of get low deploys to Kessel if you wanted to, but you could have done like squadron assignments if you wanted to. Um, is there a reason why you didn't like go the squadron assignments route, or you just didn't want an effect? I guess is what it is, or what?
Well, just because I like starting with the bargaining table, and since it's not immune to alter, you can't do the starting interrupt that allows you to do 3 effects. And just being able to pull squadron assignment first in the game is just a risk I didn't want to. I didn't think it was worth it to put it in, just for a chance of pulling it.
Okay. All right, and I like you have surprise assault because you do have a couple of 7s, you do have several 5s in your deck, so you kind of make it um, easier to do. You do have your Barrack win, so that if you lose one of these, you can kind of retrieve it, kind of do a mini retrieval. You only did one Barrack win, you didn't do 2. He's also a warrior, so you could have done like 2 Barrack wins to do your disruptor pistols, but you like the Wookiees more, I'm guessing, just for their higher power. It seems like.
Yeah, but because of their text, that wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, scramble will be very devastating in this format. I see superficial damage. I like it. And it says you may forfeit one of its weapons. I don't think the catapult would satisfy for that,
No,
unfortunately.
it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could do the spear. Spear would work. The disruptor pistol should work. So that would also be good. I mean, yeah, because yeah, I mean, I get, yeah, doing the way you set it up here with the careful planning. You're trying to start with 3 sites. I do get it. I do get it. There's no objectives you can do. These are 3 nice things. Otherwise, if you want to do, you do have Frigate, right? You can do this one if you wanted to. Because I could see a version where you did like, you start with Frigate, you do superficial damage, you start with squadron assignments, and then maybe you start with one other thing. You'd have to like take some cards out. You'd have to like add some cards to give you destiny. So, I mean, you are starting a base that gives you a fair amount of force. So I respect that. I get that. Yeah, cool. So, so you play this one time. I mean, so maybe you'd add some Authorians if you're going to redo this. Maybe you'd change up a Baragwin
Definitely.
or anything else you'd like to try to tweak. Or you might tweak if you used a similar deck to this in the future.
Well, Honor of the Jedi is a really good card against stuff like what's the dark side version? Counter of assault or surprise attack.
Yeah. Come here, you big coward. Oh yeah. Surprise.
Um,
Yeah. Surprise assault. Yeah. Or yeah, counter assault.
yeah, counter attack. Um, there's
Yeah.
a couple other cards that Darkseid uses that make you lose force. So I didn't use that too much because if they control 3 battlegrounds, it's useless. And usually it's easy to control 3 battlegrounds in this format.
Yeah.
So I might think about taking that out and putting the squadron assignments in.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that you have two Grimtoshes in your deck, so you are ready to punish them very quickly for that. Um, man, and I think there's the one Ewok which adds to force drains here. Is he here or no? Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Wuda lets you deploy. Go ahead.
the one that you just had it over, I think it was Rabin in the top right hand.
Yeah.
He actually came in real handy in our battle last night or a couple nights ago because they used what was it, Bubbo to attack, and Raven was +2 and sacrifices himself for the attack, and so he became at the back door. He was a 4 and added to Battle Destiny, so Bubbo couldn't eat him.
Nice. Okay.
And
When
I didn't actually realize he had done that, and so I'm really glad he was in my deck.
it makes sense. No, I think creatures are much more capable of doing well here. So yeah, and actually Raven could have attacked him too and added destiny. I think when you initiate the attack, I think the creature can die in that particular case.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there an Ewok that adds to force drain? Am I wrong here? Or is he not? Is he?
He might be rare.
But he might be rare, and that maybe that's why you can't. Okay.
Uh,
All right. Yeah. Yeah. This one. Okay. Force drains. Okay. Yeah. This one. Kazakh. Okay. Yeah. I guess Kazakh doesn't work. I guess is what it is. Yeah. Kazakh. I'm guessing is. Yeah. He's a rare. Okay. Yeah. So no drain bonuses from this guy. Okay. I get it. Makes sense.
but there is the one, I think it's the tribesman when he satisfies all remaining attrition against you.
True.
So
Ewok is what he's limited to.
I might risk adding more of him in just for that.
I guess you have two guys. I guess you have Paplu and you have Rabin. So you only have two guys. Okay, Wuda too, I guess. Yeah, you can't get Chewy because normally Chewy can get Wuda, but Chewy's a rare, so none of that. So you'd have to draw him to get extra cards. But I like the fact that you have one way to get you can fish for more indoor sites. That's good. That's great. Although it costs a little bit. That's good. Um, okay. Anything else anyone should know about your deck, or if someone's playing it, how should they kind of go about it? It seems like you kind of set up a spaceport Peters to get a lot of force if you needed to. It seems like you could deploy someone at the force and kind of hang out there for a while, depending if you had enough power. How would you recommend people go about playing this?
Um, if you have any ideas of how it can be improved, let me know. And just have fun with it if you choose to use it.
Um, okay. Sounds. I certainly will, and maybe other people have some ideas and they'd be willing to contribute. So no, I had a couple ideas potentially. I think anything that could
That might
remove
be the
force
Thorian.
drains. Yeah, I think the Thorin probably be one of the top ones just because adding to drains is so good, and if you can add to drains of the forest or the jungle or places where it's hard for your opponent to win, I think that'd be good. But yeah, our exterior indoor site. I mean, really, he stacks at every site you go to, right? I know you're afraid of Grimtosh or Monarch or whatever, but he seems so good.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to see other scavenger decks how they do, but it seems like that could potentially be worthy one for sure. Well, cool. I think I don't have many more questions. I like the fact that you have Kess in this deck, so you could deploy to space late game if you needed to. Um, I think it's a cool idea, and I enjoyed watching the bit that I got to see.
Well, thanks for having me on here.
Thank you, Locolobo. Thanks, Micah, and we'll talk later, sir.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
You too. Bye bye.